If you've watched my channel in the past, you may have seen some of my videos talking about Hive Updates, and more specifically, Small Change Roundups. These roundups detailed all of the smaller updates in the Hive that didn't really deserve their own update posts, but could be put together in a list just so the community knows about them. It's been 4 months since the last Small Change Roundup, however, and I need YouTube content. In this video, I'm gonna make my own Small Change Roundup and essentially go over all of the updates on the Hive that you might have missed over the past 4 months. I'll talk about things like the recent hub and UI update, some new maps that have been added, and more changes on the Hive that I think you need to know about. Interested? Let's get started. Okay, so there's actually a reason why a Small Change Roundup hasn't been released in the past 4 months. Here's what one of the Hive owners said about it in my Twitch chat. Small Change Roundup has been hard as most recent things have been technical and translation related and neither are interesting to an English YouTube audience. That kind of makes sense actually, because as I've said in previous Roundup videos, it's kind of difficult to make bug fixes an interesting topic. There's also not been many updates because of the Sonic event that took up a lot of the Hive's time in the summer. I decided, however, to take this as a challenge and make my own Small Change video without actually having a Small Change Roundup. Let's start talking about some of them. First up, and I think the big new update that everyone's going to be interested in, we have the Hive Hub UI update. This just released 2 days before this video went up, and it's honestly really cool. Right off the bat, when you load into the Hive Hub, you'll see that a decent amount of stuff has changed. If you walk over to where the game NPCs are, you can see that above them, they have a completely new name tag that displays their player account and the name of the game. Obviously, you know, that used to be a thing in the past, but it looks a lot more clean and fresh now. If you look at the NPCs, however, you can also see that those changed. They have poses now instead of just standing there like a normal Minecraft character. There's also a new NPC for Murder Mystery, but apparently the skin and model that's there isn't going to become the level 100 costume from what I know. One more thing about these models though is that they're actually client-side now, meaning that they're stored on your device. Pink glitch shouldn't affect them anymore, which is definitely a good thing. Now, the big thing that I think a lot of people were impressed about with this hub update though is the game selector menu. Here's what it looks like, and I'll just let it speak for itself. Like, just look at how modern this is. While I know Galaxite has their own version of a game selector as well, I feel like the Hive is just on a new level of custom. It's honestly crazy how good it looks, and I'll talk more later in the video about where else we could see this on the Hive in the future. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about in the hub update is that they actually added an area where they advertise their Pirate's Fortune map. If I'm being honest, I don't think I'm gonna play the map just because I don't play too much single player stuff, but it is cool how they're reusing some of the technology from the Sonic event, which in this case is the billboard showing the map. Oh, also they added a fun roulette game called Crab or Beans. Will the pirate dig up a crab or will he dig up beans? It's a 50-50 chance, so who knows? Speaking of technology from the Sonic event, however, let's move on to talking about some of the new maps in the Hive, some of which ended up actually using items and assets from the Sonic update. There are 4 Sonic themed maps in the Hive at the moment, 2 in Skywars and 2 in Treasure Wars. One thing to note about them, however, is that they are limited time maps or LTMs. They probably won't be around forever, but they exist for now. In Skywars Solos, we have Planet Wisp, which is kind of based off of the map that Ring Dash was on in the Sonic event. In Skywars Duos, there's Green Hill Zone, which should be pretty self-explanatory. It's kind of the token Sonic map, and it's what the hub in the Hive Sonic update was based off of. This is also probably my favorite map out of all of the LTMs. Moving on to Treasure Wars, however, the first LTM, which is in Duos, is called Chemical Plant. This map kind of uses the same assets that Go Fast did in the Sonic minigames. Finally, the last Sonic-themed map is in Trios and Squads, and it's called Sky Sanctuary. This one is from Chow Rescue, which again you might have seen from the Sonic minigames. Now, that's all of the Sonic-themed limited time maps that there are at the moment, but there are also some other new maps that have been added since the last Small Change Roundup. Well, I guess I should say map in the singular because there's only one that's actually new. It's called Stranded, and it's also in Skywars Duos, and it's kind of a Castaway Island type beat. I think it looks pretty cool and plays fairly well, but it's also a very big map. Just something to keep in mind. However, there's also a survival games map, and while it's not new, it definitely got a facelift recently, and it's called Mobius. It was the alien-themed survival games map, if you remember that, and while it's still kind of themed like that, it's a lot brighter now with a lot more color, and honestly, I think it looks quite a lot better. I'm pretty sure that's all of the new maps that have been released or have had a major update since the last Small Change Roundup, but if you want to see more about them, I'd suggest going and playing them yourself or looking at get them in a custom server. Now, speaking of custom servers, there was also a pretty major update to them recently as well. I actually made an entire video going over that update a couple of weeks ago, and I would recommend watching that if you want to know more about the update. However, there were a couple of things that I missed in that video since the update log hadn't come out yet, and I just want to clarify a little bit on what I missed. In Treasure Wars, there's now a setting where you can choose which categories of the shop people can purchase things from, and also if you turn summoners off, they'll just be empty instead of dropping blank items. And in Skywars survival games and Just Build, there were a couple of new settings added and some bug fixes that you can pause if you want to read more about. Also, however, at the bottom of the custom server update log, they say that there will be some improvements in the hub that'll let players create custom servers easier. As it turns out, this was actually foreshadowing the hub UI update. If you caught it earlier while I was showing the new menu UI, you can create a custom server straight from there instead of doing /CS. It's just a cool touch that I thought I would point out. Moving on, however, there are also a few miscellaneous updates that I don't really think fit into a category anywhere, but I figured I might as well point out anyways. First up, there are some new commands. In games that it's enabled on, which I'm pretty sure is just Skywars and Treasure Wars at the moment, you can do /replay and /recent replays to get the replay code from those games if you need it for whatever reason. Obviously, Replay Viewer isn't out to everyone at the moment, but these replay codes are super handy for if you need to report someone if they're cheating or breaking the rules in game for some reason, and I would highly suggest using it in that way. Another new command is /costume random, and it should be extremely self-explanatory what it does. It puts on a random costume from your inventory of costumes that you own. There's not much else to say about it, but it's pretty useful if you're someone like me who likes to put on a random costume but doesn't want to have to scroll through the menu to click on something. Now, the last miscellaneous change is actually a pretty obvious one. After the Sonic update left the Hive, a new hub was put in its place. As far as I know, this hub has never been seen on the Hive before, and it should be fairly obvious that it's pirate themed. You can tell this by the shipwreck that's right next to spawn and by the other various shipwrecks that are scattered around the map. I would assume that this is in part to promote their marketplace map called Pirate's Fortune like I said earlier, but it still looks really nice. Major props to the Hive build team. Now, remember how I mentioned earlier that replay mode still isn't out yet? I can assure you that has not changed in the 45 seconds since you've heard that. Still, replay mode is a possible future update for the Hive, and I figured it was worth mentioning in this video. Again, it's still in development and there have been multiple previews shown of it since January of earlier this year, but it's an update that we might possibly see later this year if all goes well. I will say straight up that I have no idea when it's actually coming out, but all we can do is hope and pray that it comes out soon without the TM. Another update that we might see soon is something related to the coming soon NPC in the Hive Hub. This showed up at the start of the Sonic update, it's been there ever since, and it's been a huge source of mystery for the Hive community. I get frequently asked what it's going to be, and I always say that I don't know because they don't tell me that kind of stuff, but my best guess is that it's going to be the new mixed arcade game mode. I mean, everything just kind of adds up for it to be. It's an NPC right next to all of the other Hive game modes, and according to the Hive's public roadmap, the only game mode on the in progress section is mixed arcade. You can think what you want about what it's going to be, and there are plenty more theories for it, but that's what I think. If you want to see more speculation from mixed arcade though, I would recommend going and checking out this video that just showed up on screen about it. That's gonna be it for this video though. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.